Hello there, my beautiful friends. Today I am very excited to be bringing you all of my favorite purple eyeshadows. As many of you know, I am absolutely obsessed with purple and pink eyeshadow, and some of you guys have been requesting a video like this. So today I am going to be showing you the creme de la creme of purple eyeshadows. So if you are interested in seeing my favorite purples, then go ahead and keep on watching and let's jump right on in. So let's go ahead and kick off this purple party with a shade from the Limecrime Venus 3 palette. I'm pretty sure this is cheating a little bit because I didn't really include any other purples from palettes in this entire video. But this shade has just gotten so much love from me, and I own two of these. Yes, that means that I own two Venus 3 palettes. I know, it's insane. But this is the shade Beam, and this is described as a lilac with a pink shift, and this is described by Limecrime as an iridescent shimmer. I would describe it just that as well. This is such a beautiful eyeshadow for all over the lid if you're working with purples or with pinks. I have used this guy to hell and back. The formula of this fella can be a bit tricky. I highly suggest using a glitter glue with this guy, and I definitely suggest either using your finger or using a very stiff brush. You may need to dig your finger or your brush into the pan just a little bit, but once you get through that kind of hard layer that's on top of all of these Limecrime shadows for some reason, you will get the most gorgeous iridescent pinky lilac-y purple shimmer I think you've ever seen. I'm in love with this shadow. It's just a little bit difficult to work with. Hopping on into the next purple shadow, we have something from Enchanted Lustre Cosmetics. This is the shade Harajuku, which reminds me of Gwen Stefani every single time. Harajuku is described as a soft lilac shimmer, and the formula on this shadow and just the formula on everything I've tried from Enchanted Lustre Cosmetics is so incredibly buttery and smooth. It's probably the most buttery and smooth formula I've ever tried in my entire life, which is a huge statement. But this guy is absolutely stunning, as you can see. Now, this kind of shadow is not going to give you a shimmery or glittery or super sparkly effect like some of the other shadows that I'm going to show you are. This guy is much more metallic-y and a little bit satiny almost, but it has more of a strong sheen than just your basic satin. It is absolutely beautiful, and the overall undertone of this shadow is very strong and intense, so you don't really have to use a lot of eyeshadow. I highly suggest this guy if you are not into super shimmery, glittery eyeshadows. If you want something that just has more of a subtle sheen, but you want a pastel lilac-y eyeshadow, this is the most perfect, subtle, yet still noticeable and still impactful lilac shadow that I have in my entire collection. I think it's essential for any purple or pink lover. The next pan of purple goodness here is from Emme Cosmetics. This is the shade Babydoll, which that name is just so freaking adorable. But this is described as a light purple pink with a blue sheen, and this is a duochromatic eyeshadow that also does not have any shimmers or glitters or micro shimmers, micro sparkles in it. This is just a straight sheen type of eyeshadow. It has more of a satiny base, but it has a very strong blue duochrome shift. You can see it in the pan. She is intense. I would say that this guy looks a little bit more cool toned than warm toned. A lot of times with these kind of purpley duochromatic shades, they can kind of pull either more warm or more cool. This guy's definitely much more cool. It is super beautiful, super creamy and easy to work with. This guy is gorgeous just all over the lid if you're working with some purple mattes. It's effortless, it's beautiful, and it's perfect for you if you don't want anything super shimmery or glittery. You know me, I love me some glitter, but sometimes there's a time and a place for a bit more of a satiny kind of feel, and this guy is perfect for that. But if you just so happen to be the kind of person who's into a high glittery, high shimmery type of eyeshadow, then Davina's Kazookles is for you. This is one of my absolute favorite shades that I have in my entire collection, and this is described as a pastel purple based shadow with red, golden, and pink shimmers. This guy is chocked full of micro shimmers. It is ultra shiny and reflective. You are going to see all sorts of different colors running throughout it. Kazookles is for you if you are like me and you are into a high shine, high metallic, and high shimmer type of eyeshadow. She is not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. Now, I would definitely say use this guy with a glitter glue, and I would say this guy definitely needs 2 layers, but once you get to that application of 2 layers on your eyes, my good God, is she gorgeous or what? This is such a beautiful and unique and interesting eyeshadow, and this is honestly one of my favorites out of my entire collection. It is so sparkly and shiny and reflective, and there are no big chunky pieces of glitter in here. It's just pure purple sparkly perfection. Speaking of purple sparkly perfection, we have a shade from Cleo Cosmetics. This is the shade Tracery. This is very, very similar to Davina's Kazookles, but there are some subtle differences. Now, this is described as a sheer lilac base with large glitter particles that shift from indigo, violet, pink, orange, and finally to gold. This is one of their glitter multi-chromes, and this is one of the most multi-dimensional shadows that I have in my entire collection. It is such a beautiful pastel lilac-y base that has all sorts of different colored shimmers through it. The difference between Kazookles and Tracery is that you're just going to get more colors in Tracery. Kazookles has red, golden, and pink shimmers, and Tracery has indigo, violet, pink, orange, and gold. So you have a little bit more variation of color in there, but it's very, very subtle. Honestly, if you're just trying to dip your toes into purple eyeshadow, you're not super crazy about it, then I don't think you need both of these. Just pick whichever one you prefer. But if you're a purple lover like me, I think that it's totally justifiable to have both of these in your collection. The differences are subtle, but they are both so incredibly beautiful, and both of the formulas are to die for. So I think if you like purple, having both of these wouldn't be a bad thing. I think that they're both absolutely beautiful, and clionadh's glitter iridescent multichromes are some of the best eyeshadows you'll get on the market. So I personally think having both is good. But that's just me. I'm just the crazy purple eyeshadow hoarder over here. Next, we have another color from Cleo Cosmetics. Surprise, surprise, there's a lot of Cleo in this video because they do purples phenomenally, but this is the shade Glazers Mark. As you can see, the shade is very, very different than the last two. This is described as a sheer orange base with medium-sized glitter particles that shift from indigo, violet, pink, and finally to orange. So I would say that this guy definitely has an orange undertone. If it has an orange base, it's extremely sheer. Like they described, it's supposed to be sheer, but you can barely see it. I would say you see more berry tones and more blue tones in this shadow. It's kind of like a duochromatic berry to blue with a little bit of orange and also a little bit of pink and darker indigo shimmers. There's a lot of dimension in this shadow, and it is absolutely stunning. I think if you are a fan of Max Blue Brown, this is a very fun and interesting take on that type of color concept, if you will. And did I mention this guy is extremely shimmery as well. But next we have another shade from Cleo. Surprise, surprise, I told you there was going to be more, and there's still more to come. But this is the shade Lofty. Now this is not one of their iridescent multichromes or their glitter multichromes. This is just one of their standard frosty type eyeshadows. This is described as a frosty lilac with a blue shift, and I believe this came out in their Valentine's Day collection for this year, which honestly it feels like yesterday, but I know that Valentine's Day is just a few months away, which is just kind of blowing my mind. Like, where did the time go? But Lofty does not have any shimmers or micro shimmers or really any glitter at all in it. It's just basically a typical frost eyeshadow. It has a decent amount of shine to it, but it's not anything too overwhelming, but it has a very, very strong blue shift, and the base of this eyeshadow is a very warm pinky lilac. So it makes for a really interesting duochromatic shade that is very different from the other pink duochromes that I have in my collection. Lofty is super pigmented as well. You basically just need one application of this guy to get full duochromatic power here. And clearly we have not hopped off the Cleo train yet, because yet again we have another shade from them, but this time we have a matte, and this is the shade Aurora. Now I would describe this guy as a pastel mid-toned lilac matte. I'm about to get into some of the mattes, and there are a lot of different variations of mid-toned lilac, but this guy is definitely very pastel, but a bit more cool toned than some of the ones that I'm going to show you. As you can see, it has more of a cool toned base, more of almost like a blue based purple, but it's not quite blue, it's not quite periwinkle, it's somewhere in the middle of lilac and periwinkle, if you will. It's a gorgeous shade that is ultra pigmented, and it blends beautifully. What more can you ask? Now we've reached probably my favorite pastel lilac matte that I have in my collection. Yes, I have enough pastel lilac mattes to put them against each other to see which one is my favorite. ColourPop's 2 to Mango probably takes the cake. As you can see, I have hit pan on this bad boy, and I definitely need to get a backup sometime here in the near future, but I would describe this just as a basic pastel lilac matte that leans more on the pinky side. As you can see here, 2 to Mango has much more of a baby pink lilac base to it. It's so much more pastel and light toned and bright than Cleonadh's Aurora from earlier. This guy is probably bordering pink and purple. It's right there on the edge. It's not quite baby pink, but it's also not quite lilac. And as you can see, I have used the living hell out of this guy, so clearly I like this shade. Continuing on with the matte purples, we have a shade from Emme Cosmetics, and this is the shade Lily. Now, I would definitely say that this guy is much more lavender than lilac. It's much more cool toned. It's not quite so pink based and so baby pink like Tutti Mango was. Lily is a hair deeper than Aurora. It's very, very close in color, but it's just a little bit deeper and a little bit more saturated and almost has a little bit of a grapey purple undertone to it. It's not so cool toned as Aurora was, but it's definitely not lilac by any means. It's much more lavendery, if you will. Lily is fairly pigmented, but you definitely need 2 layers of this guy to get full application. If you just apply 1 layer, you're gonna get something a bit more blown out and a bit more soft and ethereal, if you will, but there's nothing wrong with that because this guy blends beautifully. Moving on from the mattes finally here, we have a beautiful shade from Lele Posh, which is called Mad Love. Now, this is described as a pink and blue duochrome with a beautiful kind of purpley shimmer running throughout it. It's definitely a lot deeper than some of the pink blue duochromes that I've seen, and it has a nice amount of sparkle and micro shimmer running throughout it, although she's not quite as shimmery and glimmery, if you will, as Kazookles and Tracery from earlier. But for just a basic standard metallic eyeshadow, she has a lot of shimmer packed into her. This shade definitely has much more of a deep toned purple base to it, although it does have some pink reflex and it definitely has some indigo reflex as well. I would say it definitely looks a bit more grapey on the eyes and almost a little bit mauve-y as well. It's kind of like Glazer's Mark from Clionadh, but just a bit deeper and a bit more purple, but you get just a hint of that mauve base hiding somewhere in there. It's kind of hard to describe, but as you can see, the shimmers in this actual eyeshadow pick up the light so incredibly beautifully, and this is not marketed as a multi-chrome or a shimmery eyeshadow. This is just marketed as just your basic standard metallic. Mad Love definitely packs a punch, a very unexpected punch. This guy is absolutely beautiful and has so many different shimmers, and did I mention that this guy is only $3? Lele Posh kills it with her prices and with her eyeshadows as well. Clearly, you're seeing this. This next beauty here is from Touch of Glam Beauty, and this is the shade Pink Me About It. Now, this is described as a purple metallic with a strong pink shift. In the pan itself, you're going to see shimmers and glimmers, and it kind of reminds me almost of Tracery and of Kazookles from earlier. But this guy doesn't really have that many shimmers for how shimmery it looks in the actual pan. It's much more metallic on the eyes. This guy has much more of a deep base than any of the other shimmers I've shown you. This guy almost has a blackened purple kind of grape soda type of base, and it has a very strong, deeper toned pink shift. She does have some reflective, shimmery qualities to it that almost look silver on the eyes, and then you get that beautiful deeper pink base. It's a very unique eyeshadow, and it's an interesting take on the standard pink purple duochrome. So if you thought we were done talking about Clionadh, oh boy were you wrong, my friend. Clionadh has so many beautiful purples to talk about, and honestly, I shortened the list for this video. I could have gone on and on. But this is the shade Skylight, and this is one of the most interesting and unique eyeshadows that I think I have in my collection. This is described as a shimmer metallic eyeshadow with a mix of fine and chunky glitters. It has a vibrant royal purple base with purple, blue, and pink sparkles. Now, nothing in this eyeshadow is chunky by any means. They say glitters, and they don't actually mean, you know, thick and heavy glitter and loose glitter or anything like that. I think they mean just a bigger size particle of shimmers, because these are not glittery by any means, and neither are any of their multi-chromes. But this is such a beautiful and interesting eyeshadow. It's definitely the darkest one that I've shown you thus far. I think it's the darkest one out of the entire collection. But this guy basically has an indigo royal blue base, and it has some lighter toned, almost aqua-y shimmers running throughout it. It also has pink shimmers, and it has just basic royal blue shimmers. It's a very, very interesting eyeshadow, but it's definitely still a purple. It's bordering indigo and purple, but you definitely get just a hint of that purple kind of still in there. It's definitely a little bit closer to indigo than purple though. Second to last here, we finally have something to show from JD Glow Cosmetics. JD Glow Cosmetics also has a large variety of purples to choose from that are all beautiful, but I decided to pick my favorite, which is the shade Plum. This is described as a light purple with a gold flip. Honestly, after doing these types of videos, I don't think that JD Glow gives himself enough credit as far as their descriptions for eyeshadows go. These eyeshadows have so much more dimension and so much more depth than what they put on their website, but I would say this is a mid-toned kind of grapey purple with a bit of pink in there as well. This baby has a ridiculous amount of gold shimmers running throughout it. They are beautiful and super reflective. You also have a little bit of pink shimmer running throughout there as well. And I think that this guy is just so stunning for all over the lid if you're working with purples. And on the eyes, you can really see that golden shift. It's just such a beautiful mid-toned grapey purple with a strong amount of gold sparkle, and you can actually see that gold sparkle on the eyes. It is gorgeous, and like I said, JD Glow doesn't give themselves enough credit because their eyeshadows are definitely more than just a basic light purple with a gold flip. There's a lot happening here, folks. And last but certainly not least, we have something from Vanessas Vanity, and this is the shade Candy Coated Kisses. This is described as a light, warm purple shimmer, but this is actually a highlighter, believe it or not. I would say this highlight would be beautiful on you if you have super deep skin or deep skin, or if you just want to rock a mid-toned purple highlight. But I think this guy would probably look like a highlighter only on people with really, really dark chocolatey skin. And in swatch party fashion here, we have to have a pan drop. You know this happens to me every single time I do one of these videos. Pans go flying. But anyway, in the pan, you can see the swirls running throughout it. We have basically an icy kind of white shimmer running throughout this, and we also have a kind of salmony, warm, bubblegummy pink shimmer running throughout it as well. So just depending on where you place your brush down, you're going to get a different effect. If you use a little bit more of the salmony pink, you're going to get something a bit more warm. If you use a little bit more of the icy white, you're going to get something a bit lighter. Or if you just want to stick to the purple, you're going to get something a bit deeper and a bit more cool toned. But when you swirl it all together, you get exactly what you see on my arm here. A mid-toned, basically neutral lavender purple. She's not too cool and she's not too warm, but I do like the option of being able to adjust that. You know a girl loves having her options. Alright loves, we have reached the end of this purple eyeshadow madness swatch party here. I know a lot of you guys have requested me to do a video like this, so I hope that it was helpful for you if you've been confused about purple eyeshadows and you weren't sure which ones were really, really good and which one. I really hope this video was helpful if you've been wondering about purple eyeshadow and you've been wondering which ones are some of the best on the market there, because I honestly think that I have some of the best purples on the market in my collection. As many of you know, I am a purple eyeshadow hoarder. I own so many I can't even count. And I have tried some really great ones and some really bad ones. So let me know if you'd like to see maybe a worst purple eyeshadow video, because purples can be very, very hard to get right. And I have tried some very crappy ones in my time, let me tell you. So if you want to see that, let me know in the comments below. And I definitely plan on doing a pink version of this type of video very, very soon here in the future. I know that more people asked me to do pink eyeshadow than purple, but I wanted to do something a little bit more different for my channel. I mean, really, how different is purple for my channel? We all expect that from me. But I think we expect pink more from me than purple, so I figured I would start with the one that was least expected out of the two, although they're both expected, don't get me wrong. If you're interested in those videos and you're not subscribed, how are you supposed to know when they come out? So go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below if you want to see those sometime in the near future. And if you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, if you just liked seeing me swatch things and hearing me ramble, then I would absolutely love it if you gave me a big old thumbs up. It helps out tiny microscopic YouTubers such as myself. So if you choose to do either of those or both of them, then thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you. With that being said, I hope you are having an absolutely amazing and beautiful day wherever you are, and thank you so much for spending your time here and swatching purple eyeshadow with me and just hanging out, talking about makeup. I hope to see you next time. Bye!